Obviously, there's strong support for providing funding to build out our future networks, but we're also concerned about getting the most out of our limited federal dollars. What protections or conditions should we be placing on funding to ensure that we're really protecting consumers at the same time? For example, from not just on affordability issues, but redlining, abusive data collection practices, as they use networks that the federal government helped build.
Absolutely. So I don't know if someone else is going to go first, but I'll jump in. I mean, absolutely. I think that this is a time of incredible opportunity, but sometimes in these moments, especially when we're in emergency, we forget to have all of the backstops that we need. And you addressed many of them there. I mean, one of the things that we also want to make sure is that service providers aren't doing any kind of abusive activities as well, inadvertently or intentionally. And so there is a real need to do that to protect privacy, to make sure that people, when they get on, understand what that means and that, what exposures they are having. And I think one of the things the Latimer plan also talks about is making sure that in our rush to, expand broadband and increase availability and all of the things, that we don't allow communities of color to sort of miss out on the economic opportunity that's happening as well. We want to make sure that as we're setting up all, the funding is going out and we're building that, business owners of color are able to access some of that economic opportunity that's being created. It would be a shame to get on the other side of this and to find that we created more gaps than we actually had closed. And I yield the rest, but I think it's very important to be thinking about that as well.
Mr. Dunn?
Mr. Chairman, I would say there are three areas that I would really focus in on. One is on the importance of having enforcement after funds are allocated. We've seen in the past that goalposts have moved, that funding has been given to be able to deliver some quality of broadband to a certain region. That's not actually happened, and then there's a waiver that comes after it, and that sets up a bad dynamic, particularly for those companies that are actually doing the work and not receiving the funding, and then are having to see that someone who doesn't succeed gets it and then is given a waiver. The second area is on data. It is a very strange thing that large incumbents are not required to deliver absolutely up to the moment data on what is available and what isn't. And when there are so many programs, including the RDOF auction that took place recently, that are dependent on that data to show what's served and not served to be able to show accessibility, you ended up with situations where some areas in a place like Pine Bluff, Arkansas, that didn't have broadband access were shown to be served and so couldn't get the money. And some places that were already served but showed as not being served did actually get awarded resources. So there's real importance on making sure that that data is taken care of. Final piece is focusing on future-proof broadband, what Mr. Zimmerman was talking about, which is fiber to the home. You've got to get some emergency resources out there to get people connected in the short term, but for the long-term value and efficiency, you really want to make sure you're bringing fiber to the home. It's the only thing that's future-proof and will allow for scale, since the demand of broadband is projected to increase in terms of upload speeds of 20 to 30% per year. And we just don't want to be here again in 5 years saying we've still got a broadband divide after we've spent billions and billions of dollars on too many short-term solutions.
Thank you both. Mr. Womack.